Just a racial preference, let's talk about it. The Danish deception has obviously prompted a ton of discourse on this app, but what I want to talk about is racial preferences in dating and why they're 100% problematic and 100% rooted in racism. Hinge, like one of the leading dating apps on the market, has an ethnic filter capacity, which enables users to filter out whole ethnicities that they don't want to date. On its website, Hinge purports to have the filter to empower Black people, to empower people of color to date within their race, which I do think makes sense. But what Hinge fails to acknowledge is that by having this ethnic filter, they empower white people to disempower people of color, to decide they don't want to date these people because it's a racial preference.
What?
Zooming out, I do think it's okay to have a type, and by a type, I mean having a preference for a certain height or maybe even certain hair colors. But when that preference is rooted entirely in ethnicities and races you will and will not date, that's racism.
Oh my God. Bro, how can these people be so smart, talk so fast, emphasize a point so clearly, and be so wrong at the same time? Just because you have a preference of what you want does not make you racist. And if you are a white person, and I'm so tired of people pedestalizing white people to the point to where they are used as the punching bag, or they are used as the litmus test for whether you should or you shouldn't, is not racist, bro. White people can date, Black people can date white people. They can have a preference of who they want to date and who they don't want to date. They can have fetishes, they can have desires, they can have attractions, they can have whatever they want. Black people can do the same. Hispanic people can do the same. Asian people can do the same. Asian women have a crazy thing, according to what y'all saying on the internet, for white men. I do not care. You know why? Because if I have a preference for Black women, that just so happens to be my preference, then that does not affect anybody, nor is it rooted in anything. So did I adopt this whole narrative that me filtering out somebody through ethnicity or via ethnicity, that automatically is something that's rooted in racism? That if I decide to step outside of what my cultural norms are, then that is rooted in racism? Bro, we throw this word around like it's nothing. I mean, I already think that it's absolutely dumb for people to be dating via social media app or whatever it is, Hinge, these dating apps. It's the dumbest thing ever because you don't even get a chance to truly see who the person is. You get to see who the person is presenting themselves as. And has somebody ever found somebody on a dating app and then married them? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean that it's the ideal thing to do. I think that the vetting process should be completely different, but that's not what this conversation is. It's stupid. It's dumb to assume that a person is with you based off of their racial discrimination background. And so that's the only reason a white man is with a white woman. Maybe he just has a preference for white women because that's predominantly who he was raised around. Maybe I got a nephew that, was not born in an inner city and wasn't raised in an inner city. And so he has a preference for Asian women because he just loves Japanese anime. I don't know, but goddamn, why is everything so problematic? Why do we do these huge exploratory think pieces trying to conflate different points and then coming back to the conclusion that somehow this is supposed to be rooted in racism? It's one of the most overused words that we cannot prove, and they automatically just designate you as that if you have any kind of preference whatsoever. There is no diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to choosing a person that you want to be with and or bust down. If a gay person decide that they want to get with a person that's not gay because they're attracted to them, but the person that's not gay decide that they don't want to get with the gay person, then they just have two different opinions of what their attraction level is to each other or what their preference is, as far as I don't want to talk to you, you don't want to talk to, or you want to talk to me, but it takes two to tango. And so if the other person complies, then that means that they both have an attraction to each other and they're not hurting anybody and they're not breaking any laws. But you being able to filter through on a dating app and then come to the conclusion that, you know what, I want to make it easier for myself to find a person that I'm looking for. It's not bias or prejudice or anything like that for you to filter through based off of hair color or height or any of that type of stuff. Only race.
When a person tells you, I only date X race or I don't date X race, what they're actually telling you is that they spend all of their time defining people, defining individuals
It's just
based
so
on their race and
dumb.
ethnicity. Assuming that someone's race or ethnicity makes them a more desirable partner or a less desirable partner is entirely rooted in imperialism and colonialism, and it is loser behavior. It's also
I
rooted
want
in
to be
something
victim
called
so bad,
scientific
bro.
racism. Shall we dive in? Side note, a person of color deciding not to date outside of their race because they're afraid of suffering like microaggressions, macroaggressions, discrimination from that person or their family is not a type of racism, and it's not the same thing. Also, side note, reverse racism does not exist. It's a defense mechanism. Scientific racism emerged sometime during the 1600s and became its most popular among European and American academic circles sometime between like the 19th century and early 20th century. It has since been summarily discredited as like unscientifically based and also racist. Ultimately, and like most basically, scientific racism associates certain physical traits, like the way someone looks, and their emotional traits and like their intellectual capacities to their race. A perfect example of the fundamental hypocrisy of scientific racism is my historical arch nemesis, Thomas Jefferson. At once, this man proclaimed that all men were created equally, but then described black people as inferior to the whites in the endowments of body and mind. This man allegedly believed that black people were unattractive and unworthy of respect, but also physically and sexually assaulted an enslaved woman on his plantation for the entire duration of her life. Her name was Sally Hemings. So when you say, I don't date X racial group, it's not racist, like I just have a preference, what you're actually doing is spouting this like colonizer, imperialist.
None of this is relevant. It is not connecting. It's not hitting the way that she think it's going to hit. And a lot of times these people, they spew out and they throw out a whole bunch of stuff and they think that you're supposed to get confused to the point to where because it sounds like they're making sense or it sounds like they're smart, that that's supposed to connect with the original point that is racist for you to have a preference of whether you want to or you don't want to talk to a certain type of people, or if you want to filter through to more quickly find a person that you are attracted to. So let me ask y'all a question, just in general, right? Literally, this just came to me because I'm reacting to this in real time. So if a person looks at porn, right, and in that porn they decide that I want to filter through for this particular fetish. Maybe they like BBWs, big black women, right? And you are a black man and you only want to look at that. Is that rooted in racism? Maybe you want big white women. White women. That sounds crazy to me. But let's just say you want big white women. And that's your thing. Is your search and your filtering mechanism rooted in racism?
Bullshit. What you're actually doing
Oh,
is deciding that an entire racial group or ethnicity is unworthy of your romance, of your dating, because of the characteristics you attribute to that entire racial group. And where do those attributions you have in that little brain of yours come from? Racism. You're also revealing how many holes you've
deep.
got in that brain of yours because you succumbed entirely to like the racial stereotypes and biases that infiltrate media, right? Like you're not able to think on your own, right? Like your preferences are the adoption of racial stereotypes again because you can't think for yourself. So yeah, your racial preference is rooted in something really, really harmful. Hope that
This is so bad. I just couldn't deal with these type of people. I see these type of people in the sandwich and a coffee shop all the time. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. T Genly, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.